Hi everyone, welcome, and today we're talking curse words, but not just curse words, but Curse Words Volume 1 by Image Comics. It is written by Charles Soule. If you recognize the name, that's because he's done Daredevil, Inhumans, Death of Wolverine, he's done Poe Dameron, the Lando run for Star Wars, he's currently writing Dark Lords of the Sith. We also have the artwork and the coloring is done by Jordan Boyd, who has done Deadly Class in the past, and Ryan Brown, who did work with God Hates Astronauts. Curse Words follows the Wizard as he comes to Earth to, as we assume because the story isn't quite clear yet, destroy it. But what actually happens is he ends up falling in love with them and he wants to live with them, keep them happy, and help them. So naturally, the origin of his life and his past stories and past people that he knew are catching up to him and want to stop him. The general plot isn't too gripping. It's pretty generic, run-of-the-mill, but what it did for me was the sense of humor that was used was fantastic. Soule has interjected a bit of like an MCU type feel to the humor, so it's very acceptable for, you know, teenagers and older adults, but also the artwork. Holy man, the artwork by Ryan Brown is just unbelievable. Like these panels that you're seeing right now, I just love them all. Every single page was fantastic. It's unlike his runs in Star Wars where there's a lot of action with just a little bit of longer dialogue pieces. This story has quite a bit of dialogue bits that add a lot to the story. He interacts with a number of dictators, people in the bar, his partner, the koala. So it's not as you would normally expect from a Soule book, but he does get a lot more independence writing a comic that he owns for Image. A standout favorite scene of mine was watching Wizard get more and more intoxicated, which eventually leads to some hilarious interactions, great panels with a lot of background action that kind of tie in other plot points, and eventually it brings together the rest of issue or chapter 3, whichever you want to call it in a graphic novel, but it comes to a great close. One gripe that I have about this graphic novel, and it doesn't really count for this, but when I first read it in January, I felt like the first issue was a little bit of a letdown where it finished, and I really felt like if the beginning of the second issue, where it kind of explains what happened in the first issue, was actually the ending of the first issue with that 2-page reveal cliffhanger, it would have been, that would have really nailed it for me, and I would have had this on my pull list. But I'm collecting it as a trade. I'm okay trade waiting. There's so many other books out there to read. It just, you can't read them all, right? I'm not going to reveal what happens, but the final 2 pages of this trade just brought the whole book together. It brought Wizard's perspective of humanity. It brought the people together that have been interacting with him in a way. It really wrapped up all the plot lines that were going on in the first trade, and not only did it kind of satisfy me as a reader, but it also hit home as a reader as to how humanity takes over things. That's as deep as I'll go into that part. But it wasn't much of a cliffhanger because of the way it tied everything up, but it also acted as a cliffhanger because now I really want to know what happens in the second trade. And it'll be coming out probably within the next 6 months, so I really can't wait for that because I want to keep reading. And as an ongoing series, I imagine that with all the twists that they have in this one book alone, that if we can get to volume 5, 6, 7, I'm sure that there's going to be so many reveals that it'll be like another Image book where they say whatever happens in the first volume, the story is completely different by now. Alright, so hey, maybe I convinced you to buy it. If not, at least you enjoyed the video, right? See you later.